David Walliams presents The Creature from the Black Pond. Blub, blub, blub. The water in the pond had turned black. It wasn't really water anymore. It was a thick, dark sludge. Nothing could survive in it. The fish and frogs had died off years before. Even the water lilies had disappeared under the surface, never to be seen again. The pond was just one small part of an unloved garden. It was a jungle of weeds and stinging nettles, with the tallest tree you ever did see looming at the end. The tree was barren of leaves, just an endless knot of dead wood. It was the garden of an old country house, long forgotten in the deep, dark countryside. It had been left to rot for 100 years, and was now a crumbling wreck. Floorboards were broken. Wallpaper was peeling from the walls. Windows were cracked or boarded up. It wasn't really a home, but it was the only one Sally had. The girl was an orphan who had been sent to live with her grandmothers, who loathed each other with a passion. Sometimes you have a nice grandmother and a nasty one. A nice one who gives you fudge, and a nasty one who then snatches it out of your hand. Sally had two nasty ones. The grandmothers lived together out of convenience. It was cheaper to share the costs of the bills. Not that they ever lit the fireplace or ran a hot bath. They could afford to. Under their bed they kept old leather suitcases stuffed full of cash. They were just too mean. Their names were Grandma Grub and Grandma Grot. It was easy to remember who was who. Grandma Grub looked like an unformed beetle. Meanwhile, Grandma Grot was so filthy, a cloud of dirt followed her around like a bad smell. A bad smell followed her around too. Pongy, wongy, woo. These were the nastiest grandmas in the history of grandmadom. The grandmothers were nasty to each other. They would put electric eels down each other's toilets so that when they sat down to go, they received electric shocks on their bottoms. Bzzz. They were nasty to strangers. If anyone dared knock on their front door asking for charity donations, they would pelt them with rotten eggs, then steal their collection tins. Crack! They were nasty to animals. If a cat dared find its way into their garden, the grandmas would squirt water at it with the hose. Splosh! They were nasty to their friends. Oh no, hang on. They didn't have any friends. Grub and Grot were far too nasty for that. However, they saved up all their most nasty nastiness for one person, and one person only, their granddaughter Sally. They had taken the orphan in purely for her to become their servant. The poor girl had to do everything for her grandmothers. Grate the dead skin off the bottom of their feet with a cheese grater. Pick their noses for them. On her birthday, she was told she could eat the bogies as a special tasty treat, but Sally declined their kind offer. Pluck the hairs out of their chins and then stick them in a scrapbook to save for posterity. Clean the filth out of their fingernails with the end of a pencil. Suck the wax out of their ears with a straw. Because of her grandmother's nastiness, Sally's life had become miserable. She wasn't allowed to go to school as she had work to do. She was forbidden from leaving the house unless she was told to run an errand for the old ladies. The only time Sally had to herself was around midnight. All the chores would be done. Grub and Grot would be fast asleep by then. She had until dawn before they shouted at her for their breakfast in bed. So, at night, Sally would lose herself in the tangled garden. She always found herself being drawn towards the black pond. Occasionally, she would witness a bubble pop on the surface. Plop! Or a shape twist in the depths. Swoosh! or the sludge rise in an instant and spill over the sides of the pond. Splodge! Over time, she became convinced that something was living in there. One night, something horrifying happened. A webbed hand appeared out of the sludge. "Ah!" screamed Sally, dashing back to the house. She ran upstairs to the grandmother's bedroom and, without knocking, burst through their door. "Wake up! There's a monster!" she cried. "A monster in the pond!" "How dare you wake us up?" bellowed Grub from their 4-poster bed, which was now a 3-poster, as one of the posts had snapped off. "This girl needs a good thrashing," added Grot. "That can wait. Please, this is serious, deadly serious. I just saw a monster in the pond." "Little liar!" snarled Grub. "Thrashing is too good for her. She needs a good boot up the bottom," added Grot. "Listen to me. For once in your lives, please, just listen to me. I'm not lying."
"Exactly what a liar would say."
Hard to argue with that. "I promise, I swear on my rotten little life, there's a real life monster out there. Please, come and see for yourselves," cried Sally. The old ladies harumphed and slid out of bed. Huff! Arming themselves with a walking stick and an umbrella, the grandmother stalked out of the house. They beat their way through the overgrown plants and stomped towards the pond. Of course, now the creature was nowhere to be seen.
"So, where is this creature of yours, Sally?"
grunted Grot. "It was here, I promise."
"We should lock her up in the dungeon for a week for getting us out of bed like this,"
hissed Grub. "I promise you, there is something down there. Look!" The 2 old ladies peered down at the black sludge. It was as still as ice.
"There is nothing down there!" exclaimed Grot. "See!"
With that, she prodded her walking stick hard down into the pond. 2 webbed hands grabbed onto the end of it and would not let go.
"It wants me walking stick," protested Grot. "Thieving monster! Well, don't just stand there. Help me!"
The other 2 held on to Grot, but all 3 were no match for whatever was down there. The green webbed hands yanked hard on the stick. "Let go, Grandma!" cried Sally.
"Never! This is me best stick!"
snapped Grot as she flew head first into the pond. Whee! Splosh! "No!" cried Sally. Grandma Grub seemed unmoved by the apparent demise of her best enemy.
"That's a shame. I was rather hoping Grot was going to leave me that stick when she finally popped her clogs."
"Is that all you can say?" asked Sally.
"What do you want me to say? Grot was a wicked old witch just like me. I despised her nearly as much as I despise you."
Sally shook her head and sighed. As much as the evil pair had made her life a misery, she didn't want anyone to come to such a grisly end.
"Let's get back inside the house, double quick," barked Grub.
"Yes," Sally agreed.
"We need to teach that monster a lesson."
"Are you sure?"
"Yes, follow me."
As the pair rushed back into the house, what they couldn't see was the monster rising out of the pond. It was half man, half fish. The creature had eyes on the side of its head like a fish, fins, gills, green scales all over its body, sharp teeth like a shark, claws, spikes all along its back, webbed hands, enormous webbed feet like flippers, a long swooshing tail. Slowly but surely, the creature from the black pond stalked through the overgrown garden. It followed them all the way to the country house. Once inside the kitchen, Grandma Grub set about making sure the creature met its own grisly end.
"I knew what to do,"
she muttered to herself.
"I will blast that creature into oblivion."
"Please, no."
"Oh, yes."
"But Grandma, it's impossible anyway. We don't have a bomb.
No, but we can make one.
How?
We mix all the explosive things in the kitchen together, then kaboom!
But we must not harm this creature, Sally protested. Looming outside the window was the creature, hearing every word.
Are you bananas? Sneered Grub. Of course we need to harm it. We need it to kill it until it's dead. Now, out of my way, you monster-loving fruitcake!
Grandma Grub shooed Sally away with her umbrella and set to work. The lady filled a massive pot with baking powder, fermenting pineapple juice that had gone all fizzy, vinegar, an ancient tin of baked beans, curdled milk, moldy biscuits, pickled onions, custard powder, chili powder, stinky cheese, a banana that had long ago turned black. Grandma Grub whisked all the ingredients up together until they were fizzing in the pot. Then she poured the explosive lava into a hot water bottle. As quickly as she could, she spun the top closed.
She chuckled. When this explodes, it will blast that monster into outer space.
Please don't, exclaimed Sally, holding on to her grandmother's arm. Grandma Grub whacked the girl away with her umbrella. Thwack!
Ouch!
cried Sally. She was shoved aside as Grandma Grub marched out to the garden with her homemade hot water bottle bomb. Neither the old lady nor her granddaughter spotted who was following them back to the pond. The half-man, half-fish creature was only a few paces behind them as they fought their way back through the jungle of a garden.
Come on, monster,
called out Grandma Grub at the edge of the pond, clutching the hot water bottle bomb that was expanding at an alarming rate. At any moment it was going to blow.
I've got a lovely little surprise for you.
The creature from the pond was now lurking right behind Grandma Grub. It tapped the old lady on the shoulder. Slowly, she turned around.
"Ag!"
she cried. She stumbled back and fell straight into the pond. Splosh! Grandma Grub was still clutching the hot water bottle, which was now a boiling water bottle. "Grandma!" shouted Sally, reaching out to save the old lady. She held on to the end of her umbrella.
"I'm going to yank you in two!"
shouted Grub. She tugged hard on the umbrella, and it slipped through her granddaughter's hands. Sally let go, and the old lady disappeared under the sludge. Plop! "Creature, can you save her?" begged Sally. The creature took a deep breath through its gills and stepped to the edge of the pond. But just as it was about to dive in, there was a gigantic explosion from the depths. Kaboom! It was so huge that both Grandma Grub and Grandma Grot were shot up into the air. Whoosh! They were so covered in sludge, it was impossible to tell who was who. The pair landed at the very top of the tall dead tree at the end of the garden.
"We'll get you for this, Sally!"
cried out Grandma Grot. The lady was hanging there, her nightdress snagged on the highest branch. She flapped her arms as if they were wings, which did nothing at all.
"Just wait until we get down,"
added Grandma Grub. Her feet were caught in the knothole near the very top of the tree. She was dangling upside down like a bat.
"We will make your little life a misery."
"You already do," shouted Sally.
"Help us down, or we'll be stuck up here forever."
Sally turned to the creature. "It doesn't sound like such a bad idea to me." The creature chuckled. "So what do we do now?" The creature pointed to the pond and mimed swimming. Sally shook her head. "I never learned to swim, so an underwater world doesn't really appeal to me. Sorry. Listen, creature, because I have been held prisoner here all my life, I have never done all the things most children have done. Have an ice cream, fly a kite, play football in the park." The creature nodded its head and smiled. It must have liked those ideas too. Soon the pair became best friends. They did all those things together, and many, many more. The creature did sometimes get funny looks, but Sally ignored those people. Had they never seen a half man, half fish before? Together they drained the pond and filled it with fresh water. Soon life came back to the pond. Fish swished around, frogs sunned themselves on lily pads, and tadpoles darted hither and thither. What's more, the pair had the whole house to themselves. They repaired every crack, break, and hole. Over time, the old ruin became a home. Best of all, the creature taught Sally how to swim in the pond. They even became a synchronized swimming team and took part in competitions. The judges feared the creature, so the pair always received maximum points. With the creature by her side, Sally's grandmothers didn't dare be nasty to her. Well, they couldn't. They were still stuck up in the tree, but Sally didn't want the old ladies to starve, so she sent them up lots of yummy food and delicious drinks: vinegar, chili powder, moldy biscuits, stinky cheese, and all the pickled onions you could eat. Food that was guaranteed to make Grandma Grub and Grandma Grot feel as if they were going to explode. Sally and the creature from the black pond couldn't have been happier. The only downside was being kept awake at night by the noise of the ladies' thunderous bottom bangers. Kaboom! Bang! Sally would giggle from her bed.